Right, what I want to talk about this time is one or two memories from way back. I was 10 years old when the war started in 1939. I can remember when Neville Chamberlain, who was the Prime Minister at the time, came on the wireless, as it was called then, to tell us all about it. And of course, this was 1939. It was only 20 years after the First World War finished, and that's not a long time. Things were still in people's memory. I mean, almost everybody had some connection with the First World War. My dad was in the First World War. Obviously, luckily he came out of it all right, but a lot of people didn't. I mean, there was absolute slaughter in France, and people didn't want all that to start again. Now Chamberlain, he got a bit of a bad press because he'd been to see Hitler in 1938 and came back all triumphant with waving a piece of paper saying "peace in our time," and of course it was only a sort of another year before the war started anyway, and soon after that Chamberlain lost his job. Churchill took over as Prime Minister, and it all went off from there. I think during the war they had a sort of national coalition government where all the parties were represented in the government, so I suppose they got the best of everyone. Perhaps we ought to do that now with this pandemic that's around, instead of having all the politicians arguing like children in their playground. Anyway, what I can remember about the war was having to go to school carrying my gas mask. We had to carry our gas masks everywhere we went. They were in a sort of square cardboard box in a canvas sort of lining with a strap over your shoulder. Yes, that had to go with you everywhere. My dad was an ARP warden. He didn't go around shouting to tell people to put the light out. He was more. I remember going around with him one Sunday morning. He was taking gas masks for babies to give to people. The babies, if there was an attack, had to be put in like a little sort of bubble that would protect them, or hopefully protect them. The other thing I remember is rationing. Everything was rationed. Well, most things were. Food, didn't have any sweets. Clothes, we had clothes coupons. If we had bought any clothes, we had to take coupons and they were cut out of our book. Petrol was rationed. I remember my brother and dad filling cans of petrol and putting them away in case, well, rationing did come on almost right away, so probably illegal, but I think everybody was doing it. Yeah, we had rationing. We didn't really get any fruit from abroad. I think my first banana was after the war, and you know, we didn't get a lot of exotic stuff from abroad anyway, but yeah, I remember we didn't get anything like that. Now Frank, my brother, was 10 years older than me, so he would be 20 when the war started. And he was called up right away. Everybody in that sort of age group, all young men in that age group, were immediately conscripted. So off he went, came back terribly upset, rejected. He'd failed his medical. Well, of course he'd failed his medical because he'd had polio when he was a youngster, and one leg, his right leg, had not really developed properly from the knee down, so, you know, he was, well, totally not fit for a military service. But he felt really rejected. But along came, first of all, the local defence volunteers, the LDV, and then it was then called the Home Guard later on, so he joined the Home Guard, and very pleased when he got his uniform. Eventually he got a rifle, and the thing that he liked most, I think, was he got petrol for his motorbike. So he could go along with his petrol coupons and fill his bike up and go off to his Home Guard duties. Probably had a little bit extra for other jobs as well, but that was the main thing. The other thing, of course, I remember were evacuees. We had one. In fact, we had one, and then she left and another one came. Yes, we had, the first lot of evacuees came from Newcastle on Tyne, and then the second lot from Barrow-in-Furness. But that's another story. Perhaps I'll leave that to next time. So we'll leave it for the moment, and I'll see you again.